Hey, so I'm in Midtown. Brandon Shields here. It's been so encouraging this week to see our city reemerging as businesses and restaurants and community facilities are reopening to the public. I know for me, it's felt like months since I've just bumped into people that I know at a restaurant or at a coffee shop. And that started happening this week, and it was great. It's a little awkward trying to have meaningful chat with a mask on, but man, it's so much better than Zoom. I'm hearing lots of stories about creative ways that you are beginning, some of you, to reemerge as well and get out for walks or small backyard get-togethers or porch hangouts, and even some of you using our Soma parking lot for missional communities or discipleship groups. I love seeing that. I want to give you a few quick updates on what we're working on as a staff this week. A lot of you have continued questions about our reopening plan, and we are working on that diligently, thinking about reopening our Sunday gatherings later this summer with a couple of things: limited capacity, likely 30 to 40% of what we'd normally be able to do on a Sunday morning, some distancing protocols in accordance with our state guidelines and city guidelines, and then sanitation procedures. So we're starting to talk about those, and we'll be giving you more information about that as we hear from the mayor about phase 3 guidelines for the city. But in the meantime, next week, we're going to be sending out a brief survey, and we'd love to hear from you to get some feedback that will help inform our plans and to know how many of you would attend if we did open up some kind of a Sunday gathering, and what could that look like. And so if you would take a few minutes next week, that'll be on our News Weekly, fill that out. Shouldn't take any more than 5 minutes, and that'd be really helpful. June 1st, as we mentioned last week, our big emphasis this summer is going to be on discipleship groups, strengthening our existing discipleship structures as well as starting some new groups with new leaders. A discipleship group, again, is a group of about 3 or 4 or 5 people gathering together to practice the way of Jesus together on a regular basis. And again, this can look a lot of different ways. It definitely would involve things like prayer, praying together, engaging scripture together, listening to one another into the Spirit, and challenging and just encouraging one another in growing as disciples of Jesus. If you're in an existing group and would like to strengthen that group, or if you're interested in leading or just participating in a group and you're not currently in discipleship, we want to invite you to come to this training June the 1st. It's an evening kind of Zoom call, and we'll be giving you some equipping on how to do that, what that would look like, and then if you're interested, even helping you find a group with other people. So that information's in the News Weekly. Please plan on joining us for that. I want to encourage you also, if you haven't had a chance to check out our podcast, we started a podcast several weeks ago called Renewal in the Pandemic. And man, the last couple of weeks have just been stellar. We have talked about and processed the Ahmaud Arbery shooting. We have talked about really important issues around just things that are happening in the pandemic, as well as just most of the episodes are really just 5 to 10 minute spiritual exercises to help ground you in the presence of God. But we're also doing interviews. This week, Maddie McKinnon has a beautiful reflection on it as well, and actually sings that. We are going to be talking about today, a podcast comes out where I'm interviewing a friend of ours, an author, Hannah Anderson, on conspiracy theories and how we cultivate discernment in a time like this. And then tomorrow, Robin McKinnon, our ministry catalyst here on staff, is starting a new Friday kind of episode that'll be coming out every week, releasing stories of mission and just encouraging things that people are doing to thrive in this time of pandemic. So I want to encourage you to get on there if you haven't subscribed to our podcast feed. That's on our just our normal feed where like our sermons and teachings are at. Last thing, I know as the pandemic continues to just wane on, there are increasing mental health issues, and just talking and texting with many of you, Zoom calls. I know that some of you are struggling just emotionally with feelings of anxiety or fear, or processing wounds and things from the past, or just conflicts that have emerged during this time, or depression. There's just lots of things that are happening emotionally, spiritually, mentally. And so if you need counseling, we would love to be a resource for you, to give you a referral for some of our friends who run counseling facilities here in the city, as well as to help subsidize the cost. I know that can be expensive. If you would like to get into some counseling, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times, or maybe it's just a checkup for you or your marriage with your spouse, we would love to help with some of the cost and some of the connections there. If you'll email us at care@somaindy.com or fill out the care form on our website, we would love to help connect you there with some of those counseling opportunities. Again, that's it really for this week, but I do want to just keep reiterating, we love you, we miss you, we cannot wait to see you. I'm so proud of the way that as we've had to decentralize here during the pandemic, that many of you are just caring for one another, checking on one another. It's been beautiful to see the priesthood of all believers, the Spirit of God living in you as believers, and you taking responsibility for your brothers and sisters. Keep doing that. Just know that we see you and that we're proud of you, we love you, and we can't wait to gather in person when it's safe to do so. So have a great weekend. We hope to see you at 10 a.m. this weekend on our new Church Online platform. And then we have kids again at 9:15. So grace and peace to you, and have a great weekend.